there. Okay, so yeah, so today we're going to start our our second module where we look at software testing, and I very humbly call it testing mastery. And so
I love that.
yeah, so what we'll do is this is sort of the agenda, what we're going to discuss. Um, we're going to introduce the concept of unit testing, and then we're going to practice test-driven development. And that's really all we're going to do today. Next time we'll go over the other topics that are in here. Um, I keep I keep adding stuff to these, so that's just the way it works. So, what is unit testing anyway? It's the whole point of unit testing is to make sure that the code that you're writing is doing the right thing and doing it well. So you want to make sure that every little piece you add is working properly. This is still the reference book for doing unit testing and test-driven development. Kent Beck came up with the term and, and probably the concept, although it's interesting. I'd say, yeah, it had to be close to 20 years ago that I was doing, I was on an interview and they assigned you know, a little homework project to do where I needed to create a, a container object that would hold strings and numbers and it would alternate strings and numbers through the container object. And I thought it had some other constraints too. I can't remember right now. And I thought, well, this is going to be really hard. What I'm going to do is I'm going to write a test for how I can do this. And I basically introduced myself to test-driven development. And I wrote the whole thing out and I said, okay, so here's the constructor and or the object that you're asking for, and here's some tests that exercise it. And they're like, get in here right now. We want to talk to you. So so that was a cool experience. But it then found out later, oh yeah, this is a practice that is very helpful in the industry. And so yeah, I still recommend looking into that book. So why do we test? Well, we want to catch problems before the customer does. Um, if you have unit tests in place, then you can make changes. If you're testing a piece of code, then you can make changes to that code, and the test will tell you if the changes you've made are breaking things. If you have a comprehensive set of unit tests, then if you have a bug, it's much easier to find it because your unit test will help you to zero in on where that particular functionality is. And if you're spending less time tracking down bugs, then you're spending more time doing stuff that you'd rather be doing. And actually, the test-driven development, people have said that that's really more like test-driven design, because as you start to build up the application, you get the what's he called an emergent design. A better idea of how to design things will come to you, and I like this dopamine hits all day long. I mean, you make a small change and it works, and it's like cool. And then you make a small change and it works, cool. And I can do this all day. This is great. Um,
The green ticks.
right,
That's
right,
so like.
absolutely. That green bar is a nice little hit. Um, so yeah, we're drug addicts. That's just the bottom line. So Another thing why we test, if you're testing something, then it requires you to understand the problem before you start writing code. If you just start coding away on something, you may be doing the completely wrong thing. You really need it. It'll help you to come up with the questions to ask whoever the designer of the problem is. Why does it do that this way? Or are these things important, or those things? And you come up with questions that you otherwise wouldn't have thought of. And you start doing that design up front. And yeah, I got that duplicated confidence in making changes, but also um, when you do TDD, you just solve the smallest problem. You do the smallest amount of work that you can to make the test pass. So you're not going to be adding all kinds of extra functionality that we might need someday. That is code that isn't used, that someone has to read when they go in there and look at things, and someone has to test, and it's just, you only do what you have to do when you need it. Yagni, right? You ain't gonna need it. So you write the code that you need at the time. And then by being able to do the design and asking the questions up front, you learn what you're really supposed to be writing. You start asking the questions, you start putting the tests together, and it just, you realize that a lot of this stuff doesn't need to be there. The way I was thinking of doing this isn't really the right solution. There's a better way to do it. So that's the benefits of testing. How do we test? Well, you're going to test the intent of the program. You're going to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to be doing in the right way. You're not just testing the functionality, you test what it's supposed to do. And if you think about it, code that's hard to read, I know we talked about this before, code that's hard to read is also harder to maintain. And so you have a greater chance of introducing bugs when you write code that's hard to read. And because people are going to misunderstand what it was supposed to do and how it was supposed to do it. And they'll either throw it away and put something else in, or they'll try and patch their thing in and it'll do it wrong. So you want to make sure that it's well tested, comprehensively tested, and well written. Your tests have to be high performance. They have to run in milliseconds. If it takes too long to run a test, people just aren't going to do it. That's the bottom line. If you have to sit there for 5 minutes and run a test every time, whatever, go get a cup of coffee, or every time you run the test, you're going to do it much less often. It should be a constant cycle. I make a change, run a test, make a change, run a test, make a change, run a test. And the reliability of your tests is as important as the reliability of your application. So you need to make sure that your tests are well designed, and go back and refactor your tests as well. Okay, so how do tests make sure that things work properly? You basically follow a pattern. You're going to design what should be happening. You're going to code that up, and you're going to test it. This is how all the people that I work with do their work. This is probably how the people at your office work. I'm going to turn that on its head today. All right. What you're going to do is you're going to write a test for the function that you want to see. You're going to write the code for that test, make sure that test passes. Then you're going to go back and think, okay, is this the best design for how to make this happen? And refactor it at that point. So the test is in place first. And most people don't understand this, and it's really hard to visualize. So I'm going to walk you through an exercise of doing this today.
Cool.
So yeah, the whole point of doing this, you're going to make sure that the quality and the design are done properly. You want it to be readable. The tests need to be readable and maintainable. Your test code needs to be organized well so that it stays readable and maintainable. You need to make sure that it checks only what it needs to, and nothing else. You need to make sure that it's reliable and repeatable. And oftentimes you might need to use test doubles. What is a test double? Well, it's like a stub or a fake or a mock object. Stub is basically when you call a function and it does nothing. A fake is where you basically write a fake version of what it is you need to use in production. You're not really testing the database. So you write a little class that just automatically returns the data that you need to whenever you call the database. Or a mock object, which will, you can, it's similar to a fake in that there's a whole library of setting this sort of thing up. And you can define whenever I make this type of a function call to this object, it's going to return this so that I don't have to worry about, again, I'm not testing to see whether the database works. I know the database works. I just need to make sure that my calls are going into the database and it's returning something, and I don't have to add the weighting on the database to do whatever processing it needs to. So I keep my tests small and fast. Okay.
Cool. Sounds good.
So test-driven development. This is, as you're moving forward in your career, this is a really important skill to have down. After I taught this to one of my previous mentees, he went on an interview and they did had a coding problem for him, and he started to write a test first, and they were very impressed. Said, okay, this guy's got more experience than we thought because he knew how to do TDD. So it could help you in an interview.
That's awesome.
So this is the cycle of doing test-driven development. First, you're going to write a failing test. Okay. Then you just write whatever code you need to make that test pass. Then you go back and refactor. You refactor the code, make sure that your design is good. You refactor the test, make sure that the test is good. And then you write another failing test, make that test pass, refactor. And this is your dopamine cycle all day long. It's just a lot of fun. This is a quote that I love from Pascal. I made this letter longer than usual because I didn't have the time to make it shorter. so that's really, we can slap together some code to make a program work, but you're going to end up spending more time doing it. So Beck says that the primary goals of a good test are that it specifies a mistake or a piece of missing functionality. We write only enough code to make that test pass, and then you ruthlessly refactor towards a simpler design. You need to, you may love the idea that you put in here, or this really clever solution that you did, but you need to, whatever you do, you need to make it simpler, make it easier for people to read, easier for people to maintain. I remember early in my career, I was working on a problem with, there were two of us working on this problem together, and I came up with a computation that was kind of convoluted, but it solved whatever the algorithm that I needed to all in one line, and and it and it was, I mean, it worked. It worked in every case, and I was really proud of it. And the other guy just looked at it and looked at me and looked at it and looked at me. Okay, I'll go rewrite it.
What was
You're the
wrong
only
with it
one
though?
who's ever going to be able to maintain that.
Oh, because it was so hard to sort of understand.
Right,
I
right.
mean, okay.
So,
Oh man.
like, okay, all right. So the fundamental idea of test-driven development is that no production code is written before there is a failing test justifying the existence of that code. And again, that's kind of that totally turns things, most software development, on its head. And once you get practiced at doing this, you'll wonder, A, how did I ever do this before? And or how did I ever work effectively before? I can never work another way. I mean, you just feel dirty trying to just write code without tests. So again, the steps for a test: arrange, act, assert. You're going to initialize the state, perform an operation, verify the result. Okay, that's what we do. When you're doing TDD, you're going to write your test. And what I find to be a good habit is I put a comment for what it is I'm trying to do. Okay. And then I go in and I write the code that satisfies what that comment is. And I'm able to quickly build up in small part, whatever, in small steps, what it is I want to do, and practice that. And that way I don't forget anything. Okay, so I need to hit all three of these steps. So I put in a comment for that, and then I don't know. I just find it to be a helpful discipline to make sure that I do everything. I do everything in the right order and the way that I was thinking about it. Then I can go back and once I start writing and say, oh yeah, that's not going to work. I need to do it a better way. But having the idea down is helpful. Okay, enough talk. Let's practice. So,
Okay.
do you have a development environment that you can play with?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
So let me actually just get my other keyboard because I'm currently sat with a weird keyboard. I need to get one that I'm used to.
that's fine. So I have put in a link to a web page,
Cool. One sec.
Coding Dojo. There's a coding kata that they've defined here. It's fairly simple, but it's a useful exercise in TDD. And so I will stop sharing my screen and I will let you share your screen and we will do some
Okay,
pair programming. How's that sound?
that sounds good. Okay, give me one sec. Let me open IntelliJ. Uh, just share. Oh, one sec. It says host, disabled participant screen sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry. What am I
That's all
doing?
right.
I should know better. There you go. Now it's enabled.
Okay. Screen two, share. Cool. Can you see my IntelliJ?
I can indeed. Very nice.
Excellent. Let me just move this bar out of the way. That's confusing. Okay. Okay, I'm on the Spring initializer, but I guess do you just want a Java, just a plain old Java?
Yeah, that's fine. Just keep it
Let's call
simple.
it DDD,
So if you look at
uh,
the, okay, yeah, call it what you like. Okay,
is that right? And then
you're gonna
yeah,
want to
cool.
create a Git repository too, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true. I don't know if I'm logged in though. One sec. Uh,
Well, it's not doesn't have to be GitHub. It'll just be local Git. That's fine.
okay, cool. Just do that then. And then any of these, probably should change that from my work thing.
Okay.
Conda,
Johnny. There you go.
there we go.
Excellent.
Okay,
All right. So um, next to your source, main, and test. Okay, great. So it's all there for you. Excellent.
cool. Should we make a new?
Well,
Um,
okay. There you go. Java class.
okay.
All right.
I haven't.
So,
This is quite funny because I haven't actually used just a plain Java project in quite a while. Just I'm used to using like Spring Boot ones, so it's all
oh,
there
okay.
for you basically. But
Yeah, that would be a little overkill, but
yeah.
let's just do it
What should
here.
we
All
call
right.
it? String
So it's called the
string
string
calculator.
calculator. Yeah,
Yeah. Uh, just make it class. Oh, test, I suppose.
right. Okay. And so basically we want to create a function add that takes a string and returns a string. So
Okay.
test public, there
Uh,
you go. Just hit
oh look,
tab.
it's actually done it. There we go. This is maybe I should turn this off because it's gonna cheat for me.
So is
Let's
this
turn off tab 9.
tab
Use
9?
tab 9. Yeah.
What is tab 9?
It, it's basically like Copilot, but cheaper. And
Okay.
work pays for it, so
Oh, nice.
I mean it it works.
Okay. That's very cool.
Should I use JUnit 5, I suppose? Yeah, let's
Sure.
add that.
And you don't need that test in front. Well, actually, I think you need to do an alt enter on that test so that it'll add
Oh, it should just do it. Yeah, there we go.
all right.
It took a little while to get the thing in.
Okay. So
Okay.
you can say uh, add returns a string. That will be our first test. So public, yeah, avoid. So instead of test add, you can say add returns a string.
Cool.
Okay. Because that's what our first thing is. So we'll say string add. Well, actually, string. Yeah.
Let me just, I haven't read the thing. It's just kind of
Okay.
confusing. So let me just
Sure.
look at what we're actually doing.
Sure.
That makes sense. Okay, so create a function, add, takes a string, return a string. Okay,
So we're just going to take tiny steps here. The first thing
yeah.
says it has a function that returns a string. So we will do that. So
Uh,
test add returns a string. No, this we need to make this part of the test, right?
oh,
So
okay. So we're
/ arrange / at / assert.
okay. Okay, sorry, I'm getting a bit confused. So arrange. Let's just do this. Okay.
Okay, so to arrange it, all we need to do is have a string that we're going to pass in as a parameter and a string that we're going to say string. Okay,
Hello.
okay, and
Cool.
uh, and a string and an expected return string. So we'll say string expected. Yeah, we can say hello, I suppose.
Hello, yeah.
All right,
Okay.
then we act.
Okay. So
So we've got everything set up. So we now say uh, a string received equals
test string plus expected.
equals add test
As
string.
in our function, you mean?
Hmm. So I'm sorry. So yeah, we've got our string calculator dot add,
Yeah. Okay.
and we can make it a static function or we can make it a member function. I may as well
Okay.
try static. Okay, test string,
Okay. Yeah.
and then do a semicolon at the end.
Cool.
Okay, and then assert will say expected assert equals.
I kind of like assert
Okay,
that, but
assert
I
that.
maybe will it import
Yeah,
it?
do an alt enter.
Doesn't seem to want to import it though, which is
Hmm.
weird. Uh, that's weird, isn't it? Okay.
Maybe need to turn that
Let's
tab 9 back on.
let's just use assert equals.
Yeah, assert equals.
Maybe assert that doesn't come by default in this. I'm not sure.
Okay,
Um,
assert equals expected comma received.
this has actually crashed. 1 second. Oh, it's
Oh,
back
okay.
again.
Okay.
Sometimes it does that. I don't know. I really don't know why, but every
So if
now
you
and then
do a
it'll
control
freeze.
P, do a control P, then it'll show you the parameters that it's expecting. So
Okay,
actual and so no,
expected.
expected is first and then actual, right? So we'll
Okay,
say expected and actual. Or I guess it'd be received. So
oh yeah, received. Yeah.
we can go rename received to
Oops.
actual because we're having trouble spelling it.
Yeah, I'm actually really awful at spelling, so
Just call it actual. That's good.
yeah.
Okay.
All right.
And now we see that string calculator doesn't exist. So we'll do an alt enter on that
Yeah.
and create class string calculator. There you go. And a destination package will not be the test. You want to create it in the main. Okay. And destination package will be, it should be there, right? Okay,
Mm,
I guess. Oh
I'll just
yeah,
do it in
it
main
is no
Java.
package. Right, we didn't really create a package. That's fine.
That's fine. Yeah. I actually spelled it wrong. Called it calculator. So let me change that first.
Okay,
Calculator. There you
there you go.
go. Just put in there.
Name, there we go. All right.
Cool.
And then we go back to our test and we see that add is not defined. So our test still doesn't pass. So let's do an alt enter there. Create that method. And there you go. And so string,
Cool.
and we'll just say return null. All right, let's go back to our test and let's run it. Shift F10 should do that. Oh, and look at that. Class not found. Calculator test. What is this? Failed to discover tests. No tests were found.
It's weird.
If you click on the little double arrow at the top, does it run the test as a test?
Try this one.
Okay.
That's not found. What is it looking for? Oh, it's looking for string calculator test. Do I have to? Is there an annotation you have to put at the top here, or no? There shouldn't be, should there?
No. I mean, it should be, it's if you go in the upper left-hand corner, it shows that it's a whatever.
Testing.
If you look at the project, yeah, so it says run test.
That's weird, isn't it?
Strength, so commons precondition violation. Unit. L2 discover tests 14 enter. I'm
Never come
confused
across that
here.
before. So am I, to be honest. I've never come across that before.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
definitely in
odd.
test. Oh,
So,
I'm not. I'm in. I am in test. Yeah, so I'm in the right package.
right.
Yeah, thinks it's a test. String calculator test. Is this
Um,
the right? Maybe I've done a weird annotation here. Is that? That's
you need to
definitely the
get rid of
right
that.
annotation. Yeah.
I mean, that's the annotation.
It is right, isn't it? Um, something to do
Well,
with what we've got in here. Is that the right dependency or?
um, I mean, it looks good to me. That's the JUnit 5 is the JUnit Jupyter. Um,
Yeah, that looks fine, doesn't it?
um, um, well, let's just Google this here.
Yeah, we should.
JUnit Jupyter failed to discover test.
Yeah, let me just do that. Bring over this window. This page. Oh yeah, that's what we got. What do you say? I had this issue when I upgraded the versions of JUnit from 5.7.0 to 5.8.2. Try with version 5.7.0. Okay.
And that was in 2021. So
Yeah, I don't know how helpful that is. What version are we using? Let's have a look.
removing all JUnit libraries from IntelliJ and then compiling the project, failing, having IntelliJ resolve this by importing the latest version of JUnit.
Just say release version, so that should surely be right. Is it because I'm using
Yeah,
Java
that
19?
should get you
No.
the latest version. So is um
And Maven Clean Compile helped, apparently. Should we try that?
sure, give that a try. You need to do the clean.
Ah, it's trying to do it from my work Nexus snapshots. One sec.
Uh,
How could I do it offline, I guess? That would be helpful.
oh, so are we connected to a remote computer?
No, so because this is my work computer, like all the IntelliJ stuff, like attempts to get it from our like snapshot library whenever I do a Maven
I see.
thing. So if I just have to do it offline, basically.
Okay.
Uh, okay, that was successful. So let's maybe try again. Hmm.
That's
I,
bizarre.
I definitely haven't done anything weird, have I? It looks pretty fine to me.
No, no, this is frustrating. Sometimes what I do is I just copy the test code off someplace, delete the project, and start over.
Yeah, fair enough.
Um,
Maybe it's
oh,
definitely nothing to do
what
with
you've
this.
got?
We're using 5.10.1, I guess.
Yeah, that looks like the latest stuff. I mean, it says release.
Should we just change the version maybe? Try a different version. See if that does anything. Uh,
Um, which one would it be? The 5.10.1? I mean,
Yeah,
Give it a try.
what if I delete this and then see if there's another option? One sec. Let me
Okay,
just delete that,
okay.
and then go over here. Delete all these. Maybe IntelliJ done something weird. Just refresh. Okay, now
And you go up to uh, the import. Maybe it'll. There you go. Yeah. Oh, okay.
so that's
Yeah. Try
JUnit 4
JUnit4.
now. Yeah, let's
Try
try
that.
that. Okay, and then that obviously doesn't have assertions, I guess, in
No.
JUnit 4.
Right. So I think it's just a search. But
Cert.
yeah. Here
Yes.
we go.
Okay, let's try that.
All right.
Drum roll. Oh man,
Class not
class
found.
not
String
found.
calculator test. Okay.
Class string calculator test. Is it because it's not in a package? No, that shouldn't. Surely that shouldn't do anything. Source main Java.
Um. Oh, you
Hmm.
just try running it from the top there and see. I mean, because that's the class. Class not found. No tests were found.
It's really.
That's
Literally never had this before. It's quite confusing. Um,
I have had it before, but I've never been able to properly resolve it.
oh, really? Oh no. Should we
Just
just try and rerun Maven? See what that does.
okay.
Refresh, refresh. Maven clean. No, no. Maybe if I just close this project and then reopen it, see if that does it. Or like re-import it maybe into
Um,
IntelliJ. Maybe that will work.
um, I'm, I'm sure. Let's try it. I mean, that's just going to remove it from your list, but okay.
Yeah, that is, isn't it? Yeah, that's true. Um,
Where to put it?
gosh, it's in personal project somewhere. Personal
Okay.
TDD.
Okay.
Ah. Oh, hey,
There
it
we
worked.
go.
What
Excellent.
on earth? Why IntelliJ? Why
Great.
did you do that?
Man, that took a while to get there.
That doesn't make any sense. Like it's literally exactly the same.
Yeah.
I hate little issues like that. Oh well, we got there. We worked out.
Yes, we did. Okay, good. So we see that the test fails, that we're expecting a hello. Great. So let's go back to string calculator and have it return the proper value. Return hello.
Oh, was it a H though? Capital? I can't remember. It was capital H. Okay.
Okay. So let's go ahead and run our test now. It's green, it passes. Excellent.
Yay.
All right.
Give it that
Yeah, we
breakpoint.
probably don't need a breakpoint there. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, we can probably get rid of the comments now. Do a little refactoring. And, test string expected, actual. Okay, excellent. That
There we go.
and I don't know that we need variables. I guess that does make it a little easier to read. So yeah, we'll go ahead and leave that there. So we have our first thing working, if you want to call it that. So we can let's go look at the at at the problem description again. And here, string calculator, the method can take 0, 1, or 2 numbers separated by a comma.
Okay.
So, okay, so that's what the string will consist of: 0, 1, or 2 numbers separated by a comma.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what you're going to do is add numbers together that are all in a string. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so let's go back and let's write a test for that. So we'll do public void test.
Uh,
What is 0 numbers? 0 numbers returns 0.
okay. So like,
So we'll say string test string is an empty string.
sure.
Expected will be in a string of 0.
Oh, is in like like the numbers
The
of it.
number 0. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool. And then let's try it. Uh, oops.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we can run this test.
Uh-uh.
Expected 0. We got hello. Well, goodness, that doesn't work. And if we put a 0 in, then our first test will fail. Well, that's not good.
Oh
Um,
man.
it seems like our first test is not right because it's supposed to, our test string is supposed to be some number of zeros that are some number of numbers that are comma separated. So hello is not a proper test string.
Mm. Okay.
So, so test string hello is invalid. So expected, how about we can have expected return uh, a 0 if it's not a valid string.
Okay.
Because it doesn't say
So
what to do if it's not a valid input string. So we'll just, oh, I see. In invalid says further down that an invalid string should return the message number expected, but blah found at position. So,
where
all
is
right.
this, sorry?
But we
What's
haven't
further?
gotten that far. So
Okay. Okay.
let's just let's just focus on the numbers. So our we'll pass in a 1 and it'll return a 1. How's that sound? Test string would
Yeah.
be 1 and expected would be 1. Okay, so let's do that.
I mean, that's
We'll
gonna fail, right?
just run our first test and it shouldn't return a 1. Hello, it should return 1. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we'll go back to our string calculator, have it return a 1. And then we can run our test again. And that passes. Now we can go back and refactor our string calculator. So might be better for it to just return the test string instead of hard coding a 1. Why don't we do that?
Cool.
So let's make sure our test still works. Very good. Okay,
Excellent.
so now let's go back and look at our next test. We pass in an empty string and it returns a 0. So,
Okay.
so what we can do is in our, you so clearly this is failing. We run the test again just to make sure. Yes, it
Mm-hmm.
does. All right, we expected a 0 and we got an empty string. So let's go back to our string calculator. And how do we make this test pass?
Sorry, what are we passing it? We're passing it nothing and we expect
It's an
0.
empty
Okay,
string.
so
So if the test string And maybe we shouldn't call it test string too, huh?
Yeah, it's a bit weird. I don't know why I called it that. Let's call it something more better.
Text or
Input,
something.
i-
And
input,
input is good. That'll work.
fine. If input,
Is
uh,
empty.
if it's empty,
Yeah.
then yeah, I suppose that works.
And then we'll return a zero.
Zero.
Okay. So now let's run all of our tests. Make sure that we didn't break anything. Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right. So an empty string return, and so let's have it take zero numbers. Oh, well, we have zero numbers. We have one number. Okay, that's our first test. Let's do two numbers separated by a comma.
Okay.
So say public void, we'll say test two numbers returns their sum.
Okay, so say like number 1 = 3.
Um,
Equals 7.
Okay,
Cool. So let's
and expected.
oh, oh yeah, sorry. Expected.
Here you go.
Okay, so now I need number 1,
Plus a
number
comma,
2.
plus a number. You need to do, it's all one string, right?
Oh, I see. Right. So
So I mean, you can just have the test string be a 3, 7.
I see what you mean. Right. I thought it meant parameters for some reason, but there we go.
Yeah.
Just call that.
So
Let's just call it test string again.
that's fine.
Okay. All right. Let's actual and then.
All right.
Okay. It's not gonna work. I'm telling you.
Okay. So we can say if the string has a comma in it, then
Then we can return 10.
okay,
I mean, I guess that will pass,
yeah,
but it's not the best way of doing it.
there you go. So, but that's the simplest solution, right?
Yeah. And that's the kind of the idea, right? We go for simple first.
Right. And if we need a more complex solution, then what we need to do is write a test for that more complex solution. So the example they give here is 1.1, 2.2. So you say that it handles floating point numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So let's try that. We'll add a test that says
Test floating uh
floating
uh
point number and whatever. You can add floating point numbers. How's that sound?
yeah. Test can add.
And just for the record, you don't have to start it with test in JUnit after
Okay.
JUnit 3. So having the at test at the top.
Oh, this.
Yeah, having that marks it as a test. So you don't have to say test as the
I can just
first
do that.
string. Yeah.
I actually, we at work, they tell us to use the given when then. So it's like,
Okay. All right. Well,
and
we'll be
then,
talking about that next time with the BDD. So
okay, cool, cool, cool. Okay, so let's try this then. So what was it again? 1.1.
yeah, 1.1 comma 2.2.
Okay. Actual equals 3.
3.3.
Oh, oh, sorry, that's expected, not actual.
Right.
This is actual. I think it's funny, like with tab 9, like this would just
This goes.
have written it all for me.
Yeah.
I kind of think like it's a double-edged sword, that sort of thing, especially when I'm because I'm quite like new. Well, I mean, I've only been coding for like just over a year, so it's like, the fact that obviously it's super useful and makes me like do stuff a lot quicker. But
Right.
like, is it sort of hindering like my core um recollection of like certain methods and stuff because I'm not having to type a lot of it? It'd be interesting to hear like your thoughts on that.
Yeah. Well, um, one thing that I've been reading a lot lately is that we want our tools to make our work easier and to make us better at what we do. For
Mm,
instance, I need to drive a nail into a piece of wood. I could use a rock. I could use a spoon. I, I I could use another piece of wood, but a hammer is really effective at doing it.
mm,
And when I hammer a nail into a piece of wood, it doesn't make me worse at using a screwdriver. So that's an excellent tool for us.
mm,
Um, Now, your IDE makes it very easy to type programs very quickly. But if you can't remember that you need to say public static void main to create a new whatever main to make a class run,
mm,
then the tool could be making you weaker, and you should use tools that don't make you weaker. So I know that, for instance, you know, like using a command line, you have to remember the commands that you're typing in. Whereas you've
mm,
got discoverability if you've got a GUI,
mm-hmm.
but you can get lazy by using that GUI because you don't have to remember all those commands. You just find the drop down menu that tells you what you can do. And
Yeah.
it also it's more limited in what you can do because if you're using, like checking things in through Git, if you're using the command line, there's you've got more power over what you can do.
Mm-hmm.
So there is an online tool that I usually use to work through this for doing TDD, but it doesn't do any of the code completion for you. You have to type every little thing in.
Oh,
I
right.
chose not to use it because I figured this is a tool that you're used to, and we're wanting to focus on TDD and not trying to remember everything in Java. But
Mm-hmm.
it might be useful to do some programming outside the IDE. using, a text editor. It looks like you use Vim. So yeah, you can probably
Yeah.
do it just in straight Vim or, NeoVim, something like that. And,
I did try to set up NeoVim for like for Java and like Spring Boot stuff, but it was like way too much of a
oh yeah,
mind bend to like set it up.
yeah,
So I
you've
just
got
gave
to
up.
type a bunch of stuff and remember a bunch of stuff. And
Yeah.
IntelliJ makes it so easy because you just start typing and and of course with the Tab 9 Pro, you just start typing in it and it fills out even more for you.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's
that's
obviously it's good at work, obviously, because you know you can get stuff done quickly. But then is it
right.
like hindering my personal growth? I guess.
So yeah, just keep that in mind with any tool you're using as you're doing development or just generally in life. Does this tool make me stronger or does it make me weaker?
Mm.
I was reading an article about that recently, and it really got me thinking that yeah, I need my tools to make me better at what I do and not make me weaker in ways of not using the tool. So
Yeah,
something
I
to keep in
think
mind.
I think especially like Vim actually is something I've only been using it for like maybe 3 months, but
Hmm.
I just sort of stumbled across it and
Yeah,
then spent maybe like 2 whole weekends like trying to learn it.
right.
And then,
But it's worth it,
but
isn't it?
yeah, it really is. Like I show the people at work, like, oh, look how quickly you can like do this, and they're
Yeah.
just like, wow, that's like so cool.
And it's a tool that makes you stronger, right? I mean,
Yeah.
your ability to use Vim doesn't keep you from being able to use any other text editor. You can still use Microsoft Word and do stuff. You just
Mm.
wish you had the power that you had in Vim to jump around,
Yeah,
use
exactly.
this, XP, all that stuff. So yeah, but but yeah, that's what I would recommend you just consider that there may be times when you can work outside the IDE just to make sure that you're not losing your edge on how to write programs and how to do stuff. So
Yeah, for sure.
okay,
Cool.
so let's
Okay,
get the
where were
floating
we?
point numbers working here.
Yes. Have we run it yet? I don't think we have. Let's run it.
Yeah, it's a good
So,
practice to run all the tests to make sure that that you haven't
okay,
broken anything as you're creating your as you're solving problems. So and
cool.
so you see that everything passed except for this one. Good. So we're still working elsewhere. So
Hmm.
let's go look at all right. So basically, if it contains a comma, maybe we can use a tokenizer. Have you used a tokenizer before in
I
Java?
haven't actually. No, I haven't. No. How does this work?
Okay, so tokenizer will take a string that has some token in it and break up the string, and it'll split it on that token. So
Oh, like a delimiter, do you mean?
yeah, yeah. So basically,
Okay.
it does exactly what we want it to do.
Okay.
All right. So if it contains a comma, then let's go ahead and create a new tokenizer. And it's
String
string
tokenizer.
token, right?
Cool.
And so you
Uh,
pass in string and the delimiter. So the string is your input string, yeah, and your delimiter would be a comma. Okay.
do I need what does return delims do?
Um, I do not know. So, and here's a trick. If you
Let me have a
know,
look.
go and get rid of the semicolon, and no, at the end,
Hmm.
type a afterwards, after the parenthesis, type a dot var.
Ah,
Enter. There you go.
okay. Yeah, yeah, cool.
So,
Nice.
so you don't know what it returns. So now you know what it returns. It returns a string tokenizer. Of course. Great. So now you go to string tokenizer dot next token
Which one with a param or with
right there. Yeah, we
just this
already
one?
know
Yeah.
what the delimiter is. next token,
Yeah.
then do a dot var.
Oh, you do dot var. Okay.
Mhm.
Let's.
See what it returns. Okay,
Yeah.
so that returns a string. So we'll say this will be num1.
And
And
then
then,
next token after that, I guess.
right?
Var. Oops. What did I do there?
And
Escape.
yeah,
Escape.
there you go.
Dot var. Oh, that's weird. Okay, so when I do dot var, it says replace this occurrence or replace all two occurrence. So just this
Oh,
occurrence, I guess.
there you go. Yes.
Okay, so
And this will
num2.
be num2. There you go.
Cool.
Okay. And then you say, um, so you'll say string sum equals, and then you'll say, was it integer dot parse or not integer? And it would be a double.
Double dot pass double, I think.
There you go.
Num1.
Num1
Oh, plus
plus.
double dot pass double. No, num2.
There you
Oh,
go.
I
And
didn't like
return
that.
sum.
Uh,
Return.
oh,
Oh, I'm
obviously
sorry.
it's not a
No,
string.
that'll need to read. Yeah, you need to get instead of string sum, you'll need to make that double sum.
Yeah. Okay.
Duh. And then you can return string
So,
dot
string dot pass.
value of
Oh, value of. Sorry, yeah, value of. So
sum. There you go.
cool. All right, should we run all the tests?
Yeah, just do a shift F10 to run all your tests, or you can do
I
that
need
too.
I need to set that up as a Vim thing. Shift
Mhm.
F10.
And there's
Oh,
a
that's
plugin
actually.
I have that reminds me to expect. Look at that.
Oh no. So that one's broken. Oh, we got a double representation of it. Okay.
Yeah.
And this one. Oh wow,
Oh,
that
look
went
at
crazy.
that. Yikes. Okay.
Why does it do it? Why does it do that?
Because that's how floating point. Oh, yeah, that's how floating point values work. I mean, it's not,
Hmm.
and that's just the nature of using floating point values. So you need to set the precision.
Oh, of course, yeah. Where do we do that?
Um, well, that would be in the string. What you can do instead of doing a string dot value of,
Yeah.
you can do string dot print line. Is it string dot what is it? Format.
Format. Okay.
Okay. And then you can do a percent %d, do a string, double quote,
Essentially.
and do percent %d, which means it's a decimal. And
Yeah.
then afterwards do a comma, and
Oh,
then the
and
number,
then
and
so
then sum.
some.
And now let's see, I think it's a do a percent. Uh, hmm,
Nullable object. That should
you do it like a percent. I think it's um, uh,
percent D, is that a string? Is it percent F? It's
let
percent
me.
F. Percent D is string, isn't it? I think.
Yep. Uh, I thought D is decimal, but let me look here. Um,
Can we look at
Java.
how do we look at the docs for format? There we
There
go.
you go. Okay, good. Format string args.
Oops, sorry. Oops, wrong one. Format.
Format strings in Java. Percent %S, percent %D, insert a signed integer decimal. F is a real number. Standard notation. Oh, and it has to be inside curly brace. I see. Okay. Oh, I see. No, that's C sharp. Okay, so
Hmm.
That's C sharp. I don't want C sharp. I want Java. I want strength in Java. Here we go. I hate you. Failed down. Here we go.
So should it be %D then? Or
Um, no, it would be, here we go, formatter. So you do, yeah, %F would be a floating point, and you can do a % plus 10 dot, and it says 4, but we'll
I
do
think
it
I remember
plus
this. Yeah.
10.1 F.
Like that.
Yeah, F. There
Oh.
you go.
I think I remember doing something like that like ages ago when I first started learning coding. I did like have you heard of the Harvard CS50 course?
No.
It's just like an online free computer science introductory course run by Harvard. And it's you learn like C to begin with. And I seem to remember there having some sort of syntax like this
Okay.
for doing format strings in
All right.
C.
Well,
But
yeah,
print
that's
F, I guess.
right. That's the C printf format. So, and Java
Yeah,
just enhanced that. So that
yeah, yeah.
should get us most of that should solve at least one of the problems.
Should we run it again? Let's see.
Sure.
Mm.
Nope. Oh, and it right justifies. Okay, sorry. So get rid of the plus
Okay.
and try it again.
It's got like a
Oh
tab in
no,
front of it or something. Or
got
like
it.
how
So,
how why is that?
oh gosh.
Why is it? Like why has it got all this empty space in front of it? Quite strange, isn't it?
Yeah. So floating point, expression floating point, line separator, and one. Utilize the decimal number. Results formatted as a decimal number. That we did the F in, right? So G, computerized, decimal prefix. So literal percent. Line separate. Formatted as a decimal integer. Octal. So okay, so we're going to have to get clever about this. What we can do is there's not support for big decimal. Okay, so
Hmm.
with if it is provided an exception, it's okay. What if you don't have what if you just have a dot? Just do the %.1f.
Okay.
Try that.
Shift F10. Oh,
Okay, so that
nice. That works for that
that
one.
works.
This has failed. Oh, because it's added a.
Right. So yeah, what we need to do is that we'll see if it's a if there are no periods, then
Mhm.
we'll basically what you're going to need to do is count the largest number past the period and output that as your part past the dot and the largest. And if that's a 0, then you don't have a period. Does that make sense?
Sorry, say it again.
So if you're adding 1.2345 to
Hmm.
1.2, then you're going to need 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're going to need 4 past the decimal. So instead of a 0.1, you'll need a 0.4.
Okay,
Okay.
yeah. So should we change that here then?
So yeah. So basically, and if you don't have a period in the whole string, then you know you're adding integers. So then you won't have any period. You just do a percent. What is that? %d.
Okay. So we need to have different conditions, basically.
Right.
Okay.
Now I need to get going. So I'm going to leave this
Oh, wow.
as let you
I didn't
let
realize
you
the time.
yeah, I'm gonna let you play with this.
Cool.
And I'll send out a homework assignment for you later. But this basically your homework is to keep playing with this and until you get the flow of the TDD down. I think you understand the general gist of how to do TDD.
Yes.
You picked it up very quickly. So yeah,
Cool.
you can let this grow as much as you want to, but yeah, try the different exercises and
Let me have a look at
play
this
with it.
website actually. Is there
Yeah, it's
so
got
is
all
there
kinds of
other
really
stuff on
cool
here?
exercises on it.
Oh, cool, cool. What's that brain fuck?
Well, that's a programming language. It's crazy. You'll see that it's
I
very
mean,
aptly named.
yeah. Wow. So what is this website in general? Sorry, Coding Dojo. Not
Oh,
actually seen
Coding
it.
Dojo. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, nice. That's a great resource.
Yes.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much. That was actually really fun. Yeah, obviously we had a couple of tech issues, but
Yeah.
that sort of happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So
And it
that's what
may
it
not be a bad idea to turn on your Tab 9 Pro to help you solve some of these.
is. Yeah, possibly. I don't want to cheat myself though.
Right. Okay.
I bet like if we turned that on now and you just pressed enter, it would just come up with the whole thing.
They could. They could. It's worth a shot. But also, you don't necessarily want to always depend on it. You want
Yeah,
it to, yeah,
exactly. I mean, it's come up with that, which is
right. That's not what you want. You're looking
not what you
for,
want.
right.
Anyway,
Anyway, I'll let you play. And
cool.
yeah, you have a great now next week is just before Christmas and then we're just before New Year's. So do you want to take the rest of the year off or do you still want to get together? I am flexible.
What day is next week? Is it like the 23rd? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to you. Like, do you want to do it? I mean,
Well,
I don't want to take away from your like family Christmas or whatever,
eh,
you know.
yeah, we'll be with the family, but they're all going to be asleep. So
Okay, fair enough. Let's should we maybe postpone next week just because I'm actually going to see my parents next
okay,
week as well. So
all right.
and then the week after that, what date would that be? That would be
That would be the 29th, I think.
the 30th.
30th. Right. Yeah, that's just before
That
New Year's.
yeah, I think that should be okay. I think I'm just sort of doing fairly normal stuff.
Okay,
If that's good with you.
very good. Then we'll take next week off. Enjoy your holiday. Have a great Christmas, and we will
Thank you.
see you right before New Year's.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, thank you so much again. And yeah, have a great Christmas. And I hope Santa brings you all the stuff that you wish for.
Bye. Thanks.
All
All right. Talk
right,
soon.
take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.